Mitch Smedley is joining me from Smedley Plumbing. Mitch, how are you?
I'm doing great.
It is great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me today on the program. I really want to understand how you've done it. And so you've done something that a lot of home service companies would like to do, and that is have someone follow you and your team members around recording video and using that video, using that content to build authority and to get the know, like, and trust from your customers, which are homeowners, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We kind of dove head first into this thing, and we were only in business about a year and a half when I decided I'm just going to hire a full-time videographer, and we're gonna make the investment and see what happens with it. I kind of had a hunch that video was the way of the future for both marketing and branding and some other features. And so I made a big investment into all of the video equipment. And I made a big investment into a videographer, and we just kind of dove in, and we didn't know what to do, but we figured it out along the way.
Sure. So how do you use video in your business?
We do it several ways. So we primarily, the main driver is we have a YouTube channel. And the YouTube channel is kind of the top of the funnel, so to speak, where we create videos to put on the YouTube channel. And then as a byproduct of that, we end up with all of this content that we can then chop up and shorten up and mix up, and then use all of the leftovers or the chopped up pieces on social media for, reels. We can take stills from the video and use them on our Facebook stories and all kinds of stuff throughout that. So it kind of starts with the idea of the YouTube channel and then goes from there. And then I'm not a techno super savvy person when it comes to like all the ways of the internet, but because YouTube is owned by Google, having a established presence on YouTube really helps your local search rankings, because as people are searching for plumbers and they're searching for plumbing repairs, if you've got enough videos out there on YouTube, your website guy, your search engine optimization guy loves you, because you're making his job 10 times easier by having so much branded content out there in the form of video.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Of course, that's what I do all day long, and it's really important today. I tell people all the time, Mitch, that if you're not doing video today in home service, if you're an electrician, HVAC, plumber, garage door, anything, if you're not doing that today, you're actually behind now.
Yeah.
And I will say I've been working with home service professionals for about 20 years. And in many things, the home service industry, the blue collar side, is a little bit behind other professionals out there, but it's very competitive today. And over the past, I don't know, decade, home service has had to really get there. If you didn't have a website 20 years ago, you had to get one. If you didn't have an email, you had to get one. If you weren't on social media, you had to get one. If you're now not doing videos and or podcasts, you probably need to get that too. Don't you agree?
Yeah, 100%. One of my mentors says that attention is the new oil,
Mm.
right? A lot of people used to invest in oil like it was a big investment, but now you need to look at it like start investing in what it takes to grab attention for yourself, because the more attention you have, the more opportunities you have. So the easiest way to do that is video on social medias.
What would you say to the individuals who are watching this, the electrician, the plumber, the HVAC guy, the garage door company, the roofer, whomever it is? What would you say to them as they watch this, having done video like you've done? What is your advice to them?
My advice is, at first, it's insanely intimidating. However, you can work your way into it very easily. Like, everybody's carrying around their smartphone 24/7.
Mm.
Everybody's got a social media account. So, like, your easiest ways to get into it is unlock your social media account, make it public, and then start making 2 social media posts a day. Home service companies, your Facebooks and Instagrams are probably the better ways to go for that. You don't need to get into TikToks and everything else just yet, right? Like, start with one, figure it out, and then move on. But start making 2 posts a day and start updating your story, your social media story, whether it's Facebook or Instagram. Like, you're already at the supply house, take a cool photo and just post it to your story at the supply house getting parts, right? You're already in the customer's home making the repair, take the cool photo of a before and after and post that to your story or whatever. And you can start getting into the swing of things, of realizing that, hey, wait a minute, the more active I am on social media, the busier my schedule is. And then once you understand that premise, then you start to realize, holy cow, okay, if that works, just imagine what happens when we put video on top of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you've been doing video for some time now. Would you agree that it really separates you from your competitors, and it's important to establish the know, like, and trust before people engage with you?
100%. So the wild thing is social media, and well, social medias can be local or national, but like YouTube is definitely global, right? And so we do all of this work on YouTube, and we've got viewers from all over the world and everything else. However, your local people are seeing it too. And so, we made a video, like, we went to Home Depot and we bought the 2 most powerful toilets they advertised, and then we bought the cheapest toilet that they have. And we did like a torture test, and we were like, let's see, do you really get what you pay for, right? And one toilet advertised that it can flush golf balls, and one toilet advertised that it can flush billiard balls. And so we ran them all through these paces and everything, and we have a full-length video on YouTube. We chop it up and make reels with it and everything else. And we get people that will call us saying they've watched the video, they love what we're doing, and they want that toilet. And so that we sold a toilet just from that video, right? But the underlying premise there is they already feel a strong connection to the company. They already feel like we have their best interest at heart. We've done the torture test. We wanted to find out the best product for them. We're not just a sales guy. Like, we want to know for ourselves what's the best.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's very simple. It's even true of TV advertising in a 30-second commercial, or radio in a 30 or 60. After a while, that consumer, the listener, the viewer, they get familiar with you. And this is all psychological, but it makes sense. People are going to be attracted to you and want to call you or fill out a form on your website because you're familiar to them.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be that sophisticated in a video. It needs to be consistent. It needs to be credible. But if you're the only one in your marketplace that's putting up information, and the face of the company, the owner or other people in the company are seen, you almost become like a local celebrity to them, because when you go out to the house, it's wild. They're like, you're the guy on the video. And it
Right.
really makes a big difference.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It 100% does. It sets you apart from the competition. Just there's obviously the know and the like and the trust factors. They feel like they know you, they feel like they like you, and they can trust you. But the biggest of those is probably the trust factor. Like, if a company is willing to put forth all of that effort to create a video like that, they've they're not going to disappear tomorrow. They're planning on being around for a while. They're willing to put forth all of the effort that it takes to do it the right way. And so there's a whole lot of hidden signals that those videos send to customers on the know, like, and trust factors.
Yeah, you really don't have to be scientific. You just have to do, what do they say? Showing up is 90%, right? You can have
Right.
all the best ideas for, videos, and you can have them jotted down on your notepad. But until you get those videos produced and out there, there is nothing. And it's not really important to, as far as what the content is. And I know you understand what we do, at Checker Pro, where, we have a system and so forth, and it's very deliberate. And, it really helps home service professionals, package it well, and they don't really have to think much about it. What you've done, though, is extraordinary because you've stepped out on your own to do your content.
Yeah, so like what you guys do at Checka Pro, so I have additional intentions with our video stuff, right? I didn't want video just to help the plumbing company. We have some other things that we do with a podcast and some things like that where it made sense for me to hire the video guy.
Mhm.
If I was only doing the plumbing company, then I would definitely be looking into Checka Pro or anything similar to that, because otherwise the expenses of the video stuff, you're going to have like hiring a full-time videographer and buying all of the equipment is not cheap, right? So as a home service business owner, it's hard to find the ROI in that. Whereas you go through Checka Pro and the investment is nowhere near what it is to hire your own videographer. And so now the ROI is substantially faster.
And you're correct on that. And also, what a lot of people don't understand is you don't necessarily have to have really high-end equipment. Today, you can get a 4K camera. So I'm using a camera called the Lumina camera. It actually follows me around. It allows me
Yeah,
to put a badge, which is my logo, up on the screen with my name and all that. That's like a $150 camera.
right.
And, a microphone anywhere from $130 to $300, maybe a ring light. All in, it's under $500, and you couldn't do that years ago. Now, I know you've made a bigger investment in your equipment.
Yeah, I mean, I think my total bill was about $25,000 in equipment.
Mm.
But I mean, we've got C stands, we've got lights, we've got a whole podcast studio, soundboards, like you name it, right? We did a Sony A7S III, so that camera alone's like $5,000 or $6,000 plus lenses and all of that stuff. But again, our motive was a little bit different. If all we were looking for was like some social media videos and stuff like that, heck, your latest smartphones are darn near good enough for that, right? We were wanting to do some really impactful videos and everything else, so we chose to make the bigger investment. So ironically, the long-term plan for me is to get our YouTube video revenue to match my marketing budget. And so that way I offset my marketing budget with the YouTube revenue, and essentially I can either then expand my marketing budget or I can just leave it as the offset. So right now we're about a third of the way there. We're close. So
Yeah, and what you've done is really smart. I'm going to assume that the competition in your marketplace isn't doing what you're doing.
yeah, there's not a lot of plumbers that are doing heavy video stuff. I've only found about 4 or 5 around the nation that are really starting to push into that really hard. So and I'll say, of the 4 or 5 that I've found, all 4 or 5 of them are better than us. They like, I'm learning from them. Their videos are put together in a better way than ours are, and they've got a much larger following than we do. One of them, and if I say his name, you're going to recognize it right off the gate, Boston Plumbing Monster. If you don't know who he is, you can look him up real fast. He's got a giant following on Instagram. He's got a giant following on TikTok. I mean, he's a great testament to how much work you can get from video, because he never has to advertise. People just call him up and say, "You're the guy that does the videos. I want you to do my plumbing." And he's like turning away work. He's got so much.
And it's really that simple. Once
Yeah.
people start using video in their business, the light bulb goes off and they're like, why didn't I do this a couple of years ago? And this really isn't something you would have done 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. Today, there's no excuse. You really need to do it. And if you don't, just like not having a website 15, 20 years ago, or email or social media today, you are behind. And AI is involved with so much of our businesses now. So that's something else we have to contend with, because if you're not
Yep.
going to be using that today or in the near future, you're going to be behind. And so there's a lot of technology, even though everyone's out there still, turning wrenches or screwdrivers, it's still the same plumbing. I mean, there's been some upgrades with PEX and so forth, but for the most part, plumbing hasn't changed a whole lot versus the technology that we use in our businesses and
Yeah.
to promote our businesses. So in the blue collar space, we really need to kind of keep up with the times.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's other options that get afforded as well. Like as you start to grow your following and you start to understand the mechanics behind the video stuff. Referencing like your revenue per thousand views and your cost per thousand views on YouTube and everything else, you can actually leverage that with some brand partners. So and that helps too. Like you can get additional income into your business by making videos with brand partners that the brand partners are paying you to make these videos. So we just bought a really, really expensive piece of equipment, and we went ahead and paid full price for the equipment, but we're actually in talks with the manufacturer of that equipment about doing some branded videos on our YouTube channel to where we can actually recoup some of that money that we spent on the equipment, where they're going to pay us to make some videos. So the possibilities are endless, but it all starts with getting that attention on you first. You gotta build the following and build the attention.
I totally agree. Mitch, I could talk all day with you about this. Of course, this is my wheelhouse and I love it. And I really appreciate your time today. And I
Yeah.
commend you on what you're doing with your home service business. It's really the way to go.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I commend you on what you're doing too. That's a hard feat to get a lot of people interested in video that aren't necessarily gung ho about it right off the get-go. So in the way that you guys have it packaged together is a great like entry into the space. So and again, if you're just a home service business, like that's the ticket. That's the way to go. Don't hire your own videographer like I did. Don't sink 25 grand into equipment like I did. Like go through Check a Pro and get all the video stuff you need for your business at a much more palatable cost.
Yeah, the value is totally different. And also, one thing that's really great is a lot of people don't know where to begin.
Yeah.
And it's a great entree into it. And also we coach here as well. And it's like having a personal trainer at the gym. They tell you when to show up and how to do it. And, most people don't know where to start. And
Right.
so I appreciate the kind words. Thanks again. I
Yeah.
appreciate you joining me today.
Yeah, you bet.